crazy camp life, votes, and tribals, the life of a survivor is more than you see on TV. So if you need the scoop on island survival, crack a coconut, put on some rice, and let's spill the immunity. Hey everybody, welcome to the show. It's just Alex and I today. We are sorry to have Brandon missing from our tribe this evening or this morning. He had some family things that went on, and we send our love and support to him during this time. And Gina will be joining us soon, I hope. She is really busy. She has been voicing a character in a video game, and so it's pretty exciting. We love that she's doing busy things and great things, and so wish them both well and can't wait to have them back. So you get the two of us today, but we have so much to talk about, Alex. This was like another busy week in the survival world all the way around.
Yep. So we're going to be talking about Survivor 46 episode 2. And then we're also going to be talking about, what is it, like episode 900 of Survivor
15,
Australia.
16, 17, I believe.
15, 16, 17 of Australian Survivor 2. We'll start with American Survivor 46. Yeah, but a lot of things happened. Second episode.
Maybe it's 16, 17, 8. I really can't even keep track. There's so many episodes for Survivor Australia, and I just love it. And we're coming to the end of it. So we have a lot to talk about with that. But let's dive into episode 2 of the U.S. Survivor Series. What was your overall opinion of this episode? Because I've seen a lot of talk about, oh, we didn't need that extra half hour. It was kind of a snooze fest. I don't know if I agree with that. Do you?
It kind of was a little bit predictable, them getting Jess out. I think Bhanu's, he's one of the more out there players, maybe ever. He's just so crazy emotional, but he's really strong. He's a big guy. So I was thinking they're probably not going to vote him off. They're probably going to vote Jess. Bhanu's so kind of unpredictable, but when it came to tribal, I was like, nah, it's going to be Jess. So it was a little bit, but I still like the 90-minute. I'll take it. I'll take all the Survivor I can get.
Well, it was 2 hours last night, and I think my opinion was, and we saw a lot of different things with all of the tribes, and I don't think we would get that normally, so I really appreciated it. I think what we would not have ever seen the Metallica Taylor Swift face off. I think that probably would have been cut, and I love that. I thought it was fun. I love seeing what they're actually doing at camp that maybe isn't game related. Like, how are you passing your time? I wonder how long they went. Was Ben and Charlie going at it, having a song title face off with Metallica versus Taylor Swift.
And they named, I don't think I can name 4 songs from my favorite artists. They're naming 100.
I know. I can sing along. If you play the song, I'll probably know all the words to it. But do I know what it's called? No. Do I know what album it's from? No. There are people that do know that stuff, but not me.
Yeah.
So
Charlie is Harvard boy, and then the other, professional me. So, but Charlie's surprising me. I mean, how kind of adaptable he is, and how he's getting in good with people, and he's really endearing himself. And for somebody who's Harvard, should be a big threat, this brainiac, he's doing a really good job kind of disarming people and being kind of cutesy and getting in. So surprising.
Yeah. I am really surprised by it. I didn't think I was gonna like him. I thought, I don't know. I just had this thing of I don't know, but he really won me over this up, and we didn't even get the whole sob story, backstory kind of vibe from him. It was more, this is just who I am, and I don't know if we'd see that stuff if we had shorter episodes. So I really appreciated that. The other thing that really struck me in the beginning of the episode, which I loved, because they're 2 of my favorite players as well, was Maria and Charlie are doing the Denise and Malcolm. And I love Denise and Malcolm. And it's funny because they're pulling old school, right? They're bringing a little of that old school into this new era. And I love that they're trying to be those things. I was waiting for them to do the secret little, whatever it is that they do, you know? I wanted to see them do something like that. But what do you think of those 2 together, working together?
I think it's a little wishful thinking on Charlie's part to compare himself to Malcolm. You know,
agreed.
Yeah. I mean, he's not really Malcolm. He is a young guy, and maybe they do have a similar vibe there. But yeah, I like that. I thought, they're kind of bringing in the old school, and educating people on how Survivor used to be played, right? And it was a really strong alliance, and I've always liked that alliance of
Same.
kind of the young guy with the mom. I mean, there's just a lot of like, you know, and he's a mama's boy, you know, and he likes women, and so I think that's a really good kind of connection. And Marie seems really strong and very smart, and I think that's definitely a powerful alliance. Yeah.
Well, and I think too that like Charlie was really smart, like seeing that, hey, it'll just be the angels if it comes down to it. So I need to make sure, like he's playing well. He's thinking
That's a
ahead.
good point.
He like when he made that comment, I'm like, smart. That's really smart because you're odd man out at this point. But if you're creating that connection and then giving it almost an instant deeper connection when you say Denise and Malcolm, he's trying to cement that in. And I think Marie is a smart choice for him. I really do. She is tough. I think she's more like Denise than he is like Malcolm. Right.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I see that, and I see the strength that she brings, and I really like her a lot too. So I think that's a really smart pairing. Yeah, he's definitely no Malcolm as of yet. We haven't seen, you know, maybe he will be. I don't see him as the strong provider as well, because that was one of the things that
long,
you know,
flowing locks.
Oh yeah, well,
6-pack, and 6'7",
he's definitely still Mr.
and yeah.
Ivy League in my eyes. The way he's dressed,
a little more Cochran than you know, but that's okay.
Yeah. So I think that'll be really interesting to see how that progresses. I think it'll be okay. So we saw some things happen this episode. We saw a box, right, hidden, and every time I see something like that, now they said that the note said we won't give you anything until after you lose and go to tribal.
Right.
So if you're on a team.
No. It's
after you lose before you go to tribal.
Before you go to tribal, that's right.
Yes. So if you win, if you win a lot, and then they do a tribe swap, the box is buried back at the tree.
That I didn't think about that.
That's the first thing that comes to my mind. It's like, oh my gosh. So you have to lose, but you're not losing. And what if you don't lose? And then what if you get swapped and you're on a different, and now you've got, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Well, I was thinking it was kind of dumb, but I was thinking it was kind of dumb because I was like, well, if you're going to get it back no matter what, like you're going to lose. So you're right. Maybe if they do that, oh, you get on the boat and you go to the island and then, oh, guess what? You're on the other tribe and you don't have the idol and the box is back at camp.
Yep. And maybe you didn't tell Venus where it is.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about Randen and Venus, because Randen does find that he finds the clue and then he finds the box that's locked and he's got the note and he's lost his vote now and he won't get it, the next message or the key, until they lose a challenge, immunity challenge. And so he is looking for someone to share that with. Why? I don't know. Why do you got to share? But I think Venus I don't know why you don't have to share anything.
Right.
You don't.
Right.
It's so, keep it to yourself. But he chooses Venus, which I don't know if he realized how smart a choice that was for him. But Venus just spent the beginning of that episode talking about how ostracized she feels and how not part of the group and nobody likes her. And I don't know if she's like a pretty girl, you know, lots going on for her and isn't used to people being like, yeah, we don't like you. Like, you know what I mean? Like she doesn't really have anyone close to her. So I was wondering how that was affecting her. And then like she said, oh, my prayers have been answered and here you are and you're sharing this with me and this is amazing, which really was good play on Randen's part. He didn't know, it wasn't intentional, but worked out really well for him. So if he was smart, he would tell her where it is. Just because that's how I think of it. If you go and you're tribe swapped and you're on another beach, what are you going to, you don't have the access to that. Do they bury it somewhere? I don't like, how do they, I don't know how that works.
I wonder if it does say, oh, this expires at merge, or, you know, because you know, I get kind of the Survivor Australia because it didn't have an expiry date. This is kind of what we talk about with all these new advantages. We need like an on-screen terms of service.
Yes.
Like, what is this? What are the timelines? When does it expire? Who can use it? Can you steal it? Can you break the box? Like, you know, some of these things are kind of up in the air. Yeah, I thought it was interesting that he told Venus, he called her poverty last time on the last episode, and then Soda went right to her and was like, yeah, and nice poverty headband today, Brie. Looks very
Thank
nice.
you. I just want to give a shout out, Traders. The season finale and reunion is tonight, and my girl Sandra is still in it as much as I know right now. And so I'm doing a little ode to Parvati. She's not my favorite, but because I think Sandra's always going to be the queen. But I found it, and I'm like, I have to wear it. So
nice.
Thanks.
Well, I don't know if Venus is another poverty. She doesn't have that. She hasn't shown that connivingness yet. She's a little bit too focused on herself and not on building these relationships. I mean, Poverty was so good at ingratiating herself and smiling and getting right up close to people. And, everybody loved her, and so that's what
she was a flirt. She was like, she knew how to use the feminine wiles. And then she also knew how to ingratiate herself and really connect with people. I think she connected. I don't think she ever became really close with a lot of people. True. Like, I don't think that was her strategy, but she definitely wanted them to feel like, we're connected a little bit. Like, I don't see her building these major bonds with people. I don't think she ever did that. So Venus is definitely not doing any of that. She's not. I don't know. Like, did she ever call herself poverty?
No, she did say, "Oh, he called me poverty." Hey, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, she's a badass woman, So, but could we see, Raiden or Randen and Venus? Are they the Russell poverty of this season? Because he's bald.
Do you think Randen is? I don't know. The jury's out on Randen right now. He's not.
He looks like he could be pretty kind of cunning. He is an aerospace tech. So he seems like a smart guy, but I don't know. He hasn't shown his villainous side yet. I think, Tevin is kind of showing his villain.
But I want to get into that. When you say villain, I really want to get into that because, we've seen a lot everywhere. Jeff's been putting out, I don't want villains anymore. Well, episode 2 rhymes with Q. Q, I would say, is more a little villainous this season. I'm seeing him kind of in that role a little bit because he was like, "Oh no, I'll trick her, Jess, into taking this idol because obviously she couldn't find an idol for life was depending on it, and it was a fake idol, and she told all these lies. He told all these lies to her and did all this deviousness." So I feel like, you can say that all you want, Jeff, but hey, people, this is a game of deception, and that just says villain. I'm sorry. You can not want to have villains and make everybody so happy-go-lucky, but you gotta have people doing dastardly deeds. And I think, in my definition, what Q did was a dastardly deed. Really tricking Jess, really lying to her and tricking her. He didn't make the fake idol, which was a horrible fake idol, but it's not a stick. So there's that. And you know what I mean? But, because they are made these days to look like you can make them yourselves. Right. So I'm not the American. It's not out of the question. And he did have all the paperwork and all that other stuff. So there was some stuff there, but it was tough. I think he might be, because he was pissed at Bhanu, by the way. That tribal did not do Bhanu any favors. That man needs, like he said, you got to learn when to zip your lip.
He just literally can't help himself. And they were saying he's like maybe seen some things on TV on how to play Survivor. And then he goes and he tries to replicate those things, but he just, like you said, like lacks that total social awareness. And really nice guy, but it's just, he's so unhinged. He's so emotional. He just doesn't get it. I don't know about the game or about people.
He was like, I work hard. I provide. I do this. I do that. I do that. And then he goes, fist.
That's strength.
It's strength right there.
Oh my God. I was like, dude.
Yeah.
It's like, this guy's losing it. They're going to have to like do a mental health evacuation of this guy because he's just like, I don't know. You'd think he'd be able to handle some of the elements a little bit more considering he said, hey, this is normal for me. Like, But it seems
I
like, I
didn't
don't know,
have running
something's
water
really
for the first
right.
17 years or whatever he said. Or
You think he'd just
like,
be out there chilling, you know, hands back, feet up, but he seems to, I don't know, really being affected by it.
here's my thought on him, and I might be wrong, but he said something at tribal council, which is really what when this struck me, is he has to make sure the truth is told. He doesn't like deception. So he has to say the truth, his truth. Like he heard somebody say that he was a liability or he wasn't, you know, whatever. And that was too emotional or whatever it was. And that bothered him because to him, that's not his truth. Right. So he needed to prove that that wasn't his truth. And sometimes you got to suck it up and let people think what they want and kind of use different things. It's a manipulation. It's a deceit. But he has to make sure that truth is there. And that's when he says too much. That's when he goes overboard and says all these things that you shouldn't be saying. So that's when that's what struck me at tribal, was that he was doing that. He was like trying to get that truth out. Right. Because that's when he was giving all these examples and he was like, that's strength. That's not weakness. You told me I was weak and I'm not weak. It's strength. And all this stuff. That was rough, man. I mean, he's going to have a heart. He's not going to last long.
Yeah. He's got an ego, you know, about, yeah.
I don't think it's ego though. I think it's really that it has to be the truth. Like he's not going to tell you the sky is green just to get something over on. He's not going to tell you he's a fake idol as a real idol. He's not going to, he's got to have, it's got to be the truth, especially when it's about him. But I don't know if that's ego.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I see him as like, he really wants to be heard. Yeah. He really wants to be perceived as like, you know, you go out there and what's his background? What's his job? What is his, he's a
Bhanu?
IT quality analyst. I don't know what that means. So I don't know. That's interesting.
It has to be
technical.
Right. It has to be right.
Right. Yeah, it has to be right. Yeah.
Because he's checking quality. It's got to be consistent and be right.
Yeah.
Just saying, it kind of fits.
Well, to go back to Q, I mean, Q is playing. I mean, he seems like he's very likable. I think the Southern accents sometimes make you underestimate people a little bit. JT, right? And you think, oh, you know, good old boy from right. And he's playing a really smart game and really strong. So if he makes it to merge, you know, he could go on a run. And but you're right. He is pretty cutthroat, pretty brutal. And to just bring it back to that other point of like the millennial bullying, the millennial evil is like more low key bullying, right? Like they ostracize you. And you had this kind of like with Soda and Tevin getting close and then kind of ostracizing Venus. We're like, the millennial bullying is like, they don't even talk to you. They don't even act like you exist.
Yeah.
And, you know, so this is where like there maybe isn't these like kind of intentionally hurting people like Russell, burning their clothes, getting rid of their stuff, more like extroverted, kind of traditional schoolyard bullying evilness. But there is this like, you know, undertone and hyper judgmentalism and not forgiving people, you know, that the millennials have as their, you know, evilness. So yeah.
Well, we saw some stuff with Tiffany this week as well, and she's starting to feel it too, right? Because she's feeling like, you know, people don't want to share her, and that she's like they're trying to make her pick sides a little bit. But they were pretty strong in the challenge. She was really, really working hard, and we've got another Lulu on our hands, right? With Yanu, is that what it is? Yanu. Anything that ends with you, not working. It's the curse of the you. But she was really frustrated with Jess. She was really frustrated with how she came across. And I did reach out to some people this morning. Unfortunately, I couldn't get them to come on with us today because I wanted to discuss it. But I have seen this on reality TV in a lot of different spaces with friends. where she doesn't want to be perceived as the angry Black woman. Now that didn't occur to me when I saw her frustrated at
I
all.
didn't either.
But I
Yeah,
think
I
it,
didn't think of that.
but I don't, but that's our ignorance, not
Right.
hers. I think that she's very valid in feeling that that's how she will come across. I think that's a very because we don't experience what she's experienced in life, and that persona that seems to be attached to that many times. And so I really felt for her. I could see the pain and how hard that it's an extra layer. These are the extra layers that happen in Survivor that are more than just this game. Is how am I perceived by the world, and how will my tribe see me if, I get angry as a Black woman, if I get angry. I would love to hear more. I would love to speak to somebody about it. I don't believe that I can do it justice and speak about it, because I haven't experienced it. But I do think that I felt for her in those moments. It's pulled at my heartstrings. I didn't see her that way, but I could see how she would feel that way. And it's a struggle. So would love to have a discussion about it with anyone that's played the game or hasn't played the game and has an opinion on it. I'm just going to put that out there. I think it's something that should be talked about. But I felt for her in this, and it was a struggle. And, perseverance is a tough word to spell.
Yeah. I like those challenges that they have to hold up the blocks.
It was persistence. I can't even say the right word. Yeah, persistence.
Yeah. I like that chat. It was kind of a testament to, again, the American Survivor of, like, Australian Survivor. They would have done, I think they've done that like much quicker. I thought they were gonna, when they cut to the commercial and it blacked out and they came back and they were still trying to do it, I was thinking Jeff was gonna say after like 2 hours, he was like, okay, it looks like you guys can't figure it out. Like, we'll shorten it, or we'll do something else, or we'll glue them together for you a little bit. So somebody's put in the chat, Q is to Yanu what Caleb is to Lulu. True.
That's Brandon.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brandon. Yeah.
Thanks, Brandon. Yeah, it's true. It's true. And it's unfortunate, but like, because Caleb didn't last long. We loved Caleb.
I will say that the challenges, though, were a little bit more physical this time. They aren't doing the, dig a tiny hole and put together a 5-piece puzzle. They're actually pretty physical this time, which I'm enjoying. And they got some bigger sets and stuff like that. So it was interesting how much they all did really, really, really struggle with that. They couldn't figure it out. So
so that was a tough puzzle. It was a struggle.
And can we talk about Liz on the bench too? I've never heard somebody so vocal and so involved from the bench, right?
I know. She was pretty crazy. Well, let's talk a little bit about Liz, because Liz made some mistakes this episode. I think they were mistakes. I think they'll come back to haunt her. But to say, I'm not really here for the money. $1 million isn't. I know she didn't say that to everybody, but she did say to it was pretty blatant to everybody that, like, I'm not here for the money. I'm here for the title. This is what I want to have, And so, I think that's, people don't want to give you $1 million if you make it to the final 3, they're not going to give you $1 million if you already have a few $1 million.
Well, she is, me and you do, online marketing, and we're in this online business space, and we actually kind of know people who may know Liz in this kind of online space. And for me, I'm thinking she's using this as a branding and marketing opportunity on Survivor. She's going out there and she's doing I'm rich and successful. So when she goes back to her normal life, she'll have all these clips of her on national television saying, I'm a millionaire, I don't need the money. So she's like building her brand on the TV show. They should kick her off. I mean, what the heck?
I know.
People are like promoting their products. They're like, oh yeah, I sell, whatever. So I'm like, wow. So is she just doing this to say, hey, I know I'm probably not going to win? Or is she trying to like put that out there so she, I don't know. It's just a very weird strategy.
It's weird.
I don't know if you've ever had other people come on and say, unless they were known to be very rich, the professional athletes, those type of people, they come out and say, oh, I'm rich. And Kitty, I guess Kitty did it on, but she was about to be voted off. She didn't willfully say that.
Yep.
But maybe that's just part of Liz. Like, she's this super confident, she's maybe tried both ways. Maybe, depending on her story, maybe she was this, reserved, not very, maybe she was like this kind of, nerdy archetype, right? And she maybe didn't have this self-confidence, and she really had to step into her power and claim Liz is awesome. Liz is a badass, right? And, that can turn people off, but other people say, you know what, I need that too, right?
Yeah.
She's not very, yeah.
She's hard to understand. I mean, I get her and I like her, but she's so quirky, but in a weird way, not in a, I think you're super,
not like a Caroline way where it's like endearing.
Yes, exactly. I was going to say Carolyn because she was so, you know what I mean? She was so quirky and fun, and you loved her because of it. And Liz is quirky and I don't get it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I didn't get it.
She has a really dry sense of humor. She's very dry with her humor. She doesn't have like that,
and she looks like
expressiveness.
They had doppelgangers on the benches. Moriah and Liz on the bench together.
I think Moriah looks like Kenzie.
I think she looks like Liz
Moriah
too.
And Kenzie, and she looks like Liz, right? But like it's like Mariah's like, when you have like the girl in class and she's got like the glasses on, she's got her hair up in a bun, and then you take her glasses off and she shakes her hair out, and then she looks exactly like Kenzie.
I know. Oh my gosh. So. Yeah, I think they're an interesting, they're all an interesting bunch. I want to talk a little bit about Kenzie since you brought her up, because I think she's already kind of showing her strengths, and I think she's going to start getting a big target on her back. I think she's going to be really in real danger come merge. Because I think they see that of her at challenges, as well as the people in camp and her tribe that are seeing it. I think they're seeing it elsewhere. It's her replies. It's her commenting. They made a comment at the challenge, right? At the immunity challenge, right? They all came in and they said, Jelinsky has been voted off. And they're all like, oh, and why? And are there several reasons why he was voted off? And she's like, yeah, there were 7. You know what I mean?
Several.
They were back to that whole several is 7 kind of a thing, which I thought was funny. I guess I didn't realize that they all heard that as well, that they were, but all be aware of that. But maybe he said it more.
He said it at the challenge. So it was like at the immunity challenge where he was like, oh, it's several. And then everyone was like, are you serious, dude? Like, what?
Yeah. So they brought that back up, and she's kind of loud and she's heard. So I think that the other tribes are seeing her. So I think that that's going to, if she gets farther in the game, that's going to be a problem. Before we leave, I knew Jess was going to go at that point. I was okay with Jess going home. I think that she really did struggle at the challenge. She really did struggle to fit in to the group. I felt bad. I liked her as a human. I thought she was a very sweet woman. But she just couldn't keep up with the rest of them and struggled. So, unfortunately she had to go home. Do we feel like, the Yanu tribe is the Lulu of the season? Is that going to be a thing now?
Yeah. I mean, they have a pretty strong tribe now with Tiffany, Q, Kenzie, and Bhanu. They're all pretty athletic. Hopefully they can pull it together. I would hate, Bhanu can go. He's if they go to tribal council again, it's going to be Bhanu.
100%,
no doubts about that. So if they do lose, it's not going to be a very interesting episode next week either. But they always mix it up. Sometimes when things seem pretty cut and dry, Survivor likes to mix it up and change it. So, they keep the audience on their toes a little bit. So
they could change it up right away. We could see that. I mean, that's always like, don't leave that box hidden in the ground by the bottom of the tree and not tell anyone about it, because you could have a tribe swap at any time. And, as they get decimated, when one team gets decimated, you are looking definitely for that to happen, where they will switch things up.
It's such a different dynamic, though. I mean, it's like it's just so different than Australian Survivor with these super small tribes. They said, "Oh, we got the numbers. We have 3."
I know, right?
3. 3's the numbers. Like that's nothing. You know what I mean? So it's just, it's such a different game than Australia, which I guess we'll dive into as well. But
let's get into that, because I think I think the US version is just starting to gear up. We've had 2-hour episodes. We go back to our 90-minute episodes next week. I think we're starting to really get to know everybody and seeing how they're connecting and they're building these alliances right away. I'd love to see, Q and Kenzie and the third, who's the other person on there?
Q, Kenzie, and Tiffany.
Tiffany, yes, Tiffany, go strong. I don't think it's time. If they do lose again, you have to get rid of Bhanu. I don't think you can be like, oh, well, let's take a big target out right now, because if you have a tight bunch, you need to keep that. 3 is not a big number. Staying tight 3 or final, like we know our 4 from last season, but keeping that tight 3 is really going to be important. So I think that they hopefully will stick together if they lose again. And I think if they do lose again, we will see a tribe swap. I think that's going to happen right after that. I think down to 3, you almost have to do that, because you can't have 6 people sitting out of a challenge. I mean, that's just the numbers, right? So we're going to see a tribe swap if they lose again next week. That's my prediction. Who do you think? Do you think that'll happen, that Bhanu will go home next week, or who's your pick to go home next week?
I mean, it seems like Banu's the right one. I think Venus is at the bottom of that alliance. If they can maybe successfully play the idol. And then who's at the bottom of the other alliance? The green team. So we got
Charlie's Angels.
No one's really there. Yeah. I mean, it could be Tim, but he doesn't seem to be making very strong connections with people. I mean, he's, I guess, connected with Den, but I don't know if they jive really.
Yeah, I don't know if what's going to happen. So yeah, it doesn't look good for the Yanu tribe. If they do lose, I think we'll see a tribe swap, which will make it interesting. And then I'll find out about that box that's buried at the bottom of the tree. That's what I want to talk about. So let's get into Australian Survivor. 3 huge episodes. 3 big players went home. A lot happening. Let's talk about the first one. We lost Aileen, who I really liked. And I thought she was the soothsayer. She was the, that person that like you turn to as your advisor kind of person. I think that's what everyone was looking at her as. Ferris for sure. What do you think? Read the room for me. Tell me what they're saying. What are they thinking? What's happening? Did they change? And I think Ferris really relied on that. Really smart to get rid of her if you're Kirby and some of the other people.
Yeah, I don't understand this, this Kirby and Ferris alliance now. Like Ferris and Kirby, they were arch nemesis, and then now Ferris is like attached to the hip with Kirby. And
Ferris doesn't have a choice right now.
Ferris, I mean, yeah. I have been really liking Ferris's play. I mean, that wasn't a good thing that happened to Aileen, big kind of oversight there. But I have been liking how Ferris has been playing recently a lot more than I was, previously. But yeah, the Aileen and the dynamics of that were Kirby switched, and did anybody else re-switch too?
Did she get the vote right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Let me write it on your hand so you remember who to vote for.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, she's a character, but I think there was a couple things that didn't go Ferris's way in 2 of the episodes. First, losing Aileen, I think, was pretty devastating to him, and then they really needed Jaeden as a number. I think it was okay for him to go, but I really liked Jaeden a lot and was really sorry to see him leave. And that was another vote screw up. Pretty much for everybody, because they were calling an audible and not everybody heard.
Yeah. So it was the situation that happened was they were attempting to vote out, who was it? Alex, right?
Yes.
They were attempting to vote out Alex, and they needed to have all the rebels, Ferris, Kitty, Raymond, and then Jaeden is on their team. They needed them all vote for Alex, and then they changed it at the last minute because Alex is probably going to play his idol.
Mark. I thought they were doing Mark. Wasn't it Mark they were going for? Didn't write Mark down?
She did. Yeah. Well, they were gonna vote Mark, and then they switched it at the last minute.
Yep.
Right. And they switched it to
Val.
They switched to Val. We should have recapped these episodes a little more.
Oh my gosh. We have way too much Survivor to watch. We can't keep track. And I watched them early. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited because this morning I had to watch the US version. So I was like, cool. I only have to watch the US, it's 2 hours long, but US version this morning. And I've already watched all the Australian ones right when they came out the next morning. And now I can't remember crap. So that's this old brain.
Well, essentially what happened in short is that Ree voted wrong. If Ree would have voted right, it would have been a tie. Okay, we'll just start there. It would have been a tie.
Everything up. Raymond opened his mouth and he said, they said, who are you voting for? And he said, and he told them that they were voting for Val.
Right.
And so they gave, so that's Alex gave Val, so they said vote for Alex. And Ree didn't hear Alex. And so ended up being everyone voted for Jaeden, and that was enough. I think that's how it happened. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that
Don't
is how
quote
it
me. Don't sue me.
That,
yeah, I don't know. But I'm
but it was very, so and essentially Raymond betrayed Ferris, which at the tribal, Ferris was he was upset. He was upset with Raymond, and I was like, is Ferris gonna burn Raymond? Are they not gonna be, together? But they had, this is one of the bigger plays, maybe in all time of Survivor, right? Raymond has the clue or the, advantage that he found in the big popcorn. And I don't know if anybody on the season could have done this but Ray. He was in a very interesting position to be able to do that, just coming off kind of flipping tribes. And he goes back to camp. And the advantage is, just to remind the audience, if he gets every single person in the tribe to vote for him, then he has the ultimate vote and he gets to choose the person that he wants to go home.
Yep.
And so he fakes this sickness or this, mental strife or whatever it is. And everyone in Australian Survivor, I've never heard that, not an American thing, but they go around and they say, oh, Raymond's not good. Yeah. He's not good. He's not very good right now. He's going through it. And whatever. So that was very funny every time. They said it like a million times. I'm here for the
Australian accent, Alex. Yeah. I love it.
And so
why do they say that? He's not good. He's not good.
He's not. In Australia, that means like he's like, that's the worst thing you can say about somebody is they're not good. Someone's all their limbs are chopped off. He's not good.
I know.
He's not good right now.
Cracks me up.
It's super funny. They had another couple of good ones. Alex, when they were at the high tea, again, Australian, I guess it's a British thing, but it's an Australian thing.
I know. Can you imagine what the survivors on US would say if like Jeff said, you want to know what you're playing for? And he goes, high tea. And they're just like, what?
Are you smoking or what is he doing? Yeah. It looked disgusting, too. It's like these little white bread sandwiches with like the smallest amount of schmear on the inside.
I know.
Yeah.
Yes, Brandon. I love his accent. I know. It's so true. I agree with you.
Well, Alex at the thing, he was like, oh, well, stuffing our gloves or whatever he said. That was another interesting Survivor. Or I always like when they say, Alex says this a lot. Oh, happy days. Happy days.
Happy days.
We don't say that in America either. That's another weird one. Okay. So Raymond, he's not good. Raymond's not good. He's in his hammock. He's all bundled up. And I mean, he successfully tricks everybody that he's really not good. I mean, that he really wants to be voted off. I thought it was kind of a weird oversight that they did tell Kirby and then Kirby told Ree and like that all still worked out, because it would have been a good opportunity to switch it up. But I guess Ferris and Kirby, I guess they're just like best friends now. Which is like weird. Like I said, I don't like it. I think it's
smart. The devil you know opposed the devil you don't know. I think that's a smart pairing for them right now. I don't think it's going to last. Obviously, I think they're going to go at it. But I think they did both see the light that they need each other at this point in time. But I thought it was. I thought it was really smart. I think there was a lot of smart plays in this. And the deviousness, I've seen people compare it to Johnny Fairplay and his dead grandmother. There's been a lot of flack about Raymond and using mental health issues like that. And it's really not okay. There's people all over the place on it, especially after Scotty just left with mental health issues. I think that maybe poorly timed. But it is outwit, outplay, outlast. And we are outwitting people with this. However, I have to say, Kirby and Kirby and Ferris were instrumental. So we got to give them Best Supporting Actor Oscars for that.
We will give that to you, Ferris. I know you want that.
Kirby really, I know he does. Kirby saved the day by giving her necklace over. Smart move to give it to Ree to kind of say, and I'm surprised the other players weren't like, curious.
Yeah, like, what is going on there? That was way weird.
Because Ree was afraid that they were tricking them and that it was, if we all vote for Ray has an idol or whatever else, and he's going to use it, or he has this advantage because she did tell her that he was going to vote a big, like, Ree out because she's been winning so much. And I believe that's a very valid point. And here's the thing. I would have really loved this play had he gotten out Kirby or Ferris. But he didn't. He got out Val, who was probably already going to go home. Not a big play. You can take anybody out of the game. You take Kirby out. If I was Raymond and I'm working with Ferris, you take Kirby out. Huge move.
I wanted Kirby to go too.
Huge move. Big player. Will be respected. But now they're like, you took Val out? Like, she was already on the chopping block many times. Like, you take a big, if you're going to swing, you're going to do an Oscar worthy of performance, you go for the gold. And that would have been Kirby. So really disappointed in the play because he didn't take a big enough swing for me. Yeah.
I mean, we had Todd Herzog, winner of Survivor China, on the podcast, and I didn't really think much of Al, but I really respect any winner's opinion of who's going to win the game because they have that insider knowledge. They've won the game. They understand the dynamics a lot more than us, the viewer. And he picked Val to win. And he was like, Val's a really good player. And it was interesting. Liz won last time, another Russian woman. That was kind of interesting. So I don't know. Maybe there was something about Val that people really thought she was a very strong player. She's come out here and, supermodel, that type of thing, but never complained once about the elements or, and is a very strong in challenges. So I think there is maybe that X factor with Val that makes her seem like she's uniquely in a position to win the game. She has supreme confidence in herself too. So, but yeah, I would have loved Kirby to go home. I think that would have been a much better play. Then Ree would have been all by herself. And she doesn't seem like she would have been too hurt by it.
No, Ree would have been fine. She's in it to win it. I like Brandon's comment. He should have gotten out Ferris. He's top player of the season. He's only had 2 incorrect votes this season. Best voting record. Yeah, I think that's important. I think he's just a dominant player as well. But I think that Raymond would have been really alone had he voted Ferris out. I think he still needs Ferris. So I don't think he would have taken Ferris. But if you're going to take a big player, the 2 biggest players are Ferris and Kirby at this point. And Raymond knows full well that Kirby's a big player, and I think he should have gone in that direction. I would have respected it a lot more and been able to understand like why he would do what he did. There's a lot of comments. Was it poor form or do whatever it takes? Where are you on that as far as what Raymond's, the way he did that?
Well, like I said, I think Raymond was the only person who could pull this off in the way that he did. Because, like I said, off the back of a blind side, he is kind of an odd duck. He does kind of have this. He was more conniving. He was such a sweetheart to everybody. And then you really saw his kind of cunning, deceit, devious side. I don't think there's any way to go about it. I was like, what do you do? Like, you act like you're sick. You act like, what do you go piss everybody off? You go like curse everybody out. Like, how do you arrange that if you really want to do it? I think that's the only way you can do it, is say, hey, vote me out. I don't like it. My head and my heart isn't in it. I think he was in a tough spot if he really did want to use that. I just can't see another foreseeable way to have that happen.
Okay.
I
agree.
So that's my kind of stance.
I agree with you. And then that just begs the question going forward. And I think this is going forward on any Survivor, US, Australia, whatever. Will that ever work again? I think I saw a comment that I absolutely loved, and it says, it will not work to say, vote me out. you will have to quit, and it will keep people from quitting or really force their hand.
I don't think you should say everybody vote me out. I think if that's the case, then you should quit. I don't think it's like right to everybody vote for me. Everybody just vote for me. Like that's just quitting. That's just quitting. That's just another form of quitting. Now you have to quit.
Yeah, I like what Brandon said. Had he said it was a mental health problem, it would have been an ethical issue. But since he was just saying he felt out of the game and guilty, I think it's totally fine. And I agree with Brandon. I like that, Brandon, what you said there.
That's a good point.
It's a good point. And so I think it will change the game. I think you won't be able to play that everybody vote me out again. If you want to quit, you're just going to have to quit.
Well, he wasn't having mental health problems. He was not good.
He was not good. Yes. Yeah. I'm not even going to try an Australian accent, but yes, he was not good.
And just to mention the Ree and the Kirby, she takes the necklace off. She scoots it and then she puts it on, and then JLP's just like,
anybody just see this?
Thinking, yeah. I was like, what? In what world is that going to work? And like, don't you have to announce it? Like, can you just slip them?
Well, I think he has to say it's time to vote. You can vote for anyone here but Kirby or but Ree at this point. I think you do have to say that. So he would have said it, but
there was so many alarm bells going off there. I can't believe just one person, just to hedge their bets, didn't vote that way. Raymond, I'll give Raymond that. That is one of the better Survivor stories, plays. It's going to go down in infamy. Similar to the Johnny Flair play. I agree. The only kind of comparable.
You didn't need just 3 votes. You needed everybody.
Yeah,
all of them, and that was a big accomplishment. And I do think, now I'm not a huge Ferris fan. I'm liking him a little bit more respecting his game more, I guess. But super respect for him when he said, we're all going to get up there, and when we write his name down, we're going to say something nice about him.
That was hilarious.
And that's never been done before. Now, the thing with that, very smart, Ferris, the thing with that is you always want to be part of Survivor history. You want to make history-making moments when you're on the show, right? You want to be involved in those. The Caleb vote, where everybody, you know what I mean? And he he used his dice and he was safe, right? Like he played his shot in the dark and he was safe. Huge moment. You want to be part of those because you're remembered, you're leaving a legacy. And he used that ploy to really drive that we all need to vote for him. And we're going to do something no one else has done before. That was brilliant. That was King George level brilliance, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was super smart. And then, him just affirming these like group dynamics all the time. He said, remember, Ray really wants it to be unanimous, guys. And we're all, he was kind of blatant about it. It's hard when you're in that situation. You probably don't notice, but he was like, just reaffirming it so many times, guys, every single vote must be on Raymond. We're doing this for Raymond. And then to say it, to get everybody on that bandwagon and that confirmation in the moment that everybody's doing it. I was like, that is so freaking funny. Like that's really pretty amazing that he was able to do that. So yeah. He does get best supporting actor. He said it like 3 or 4 times, but he does. That was a very good move.
He did say it
I think if Ferris and Raymond go to the end, which is a possibility, I think a lot of people would maybe want to take Raymond after that, maybe not, because that was, I think, maybe the biggest move so far. The first and it was the first successful idol play, I believe, right?
No,
I think they made a comment about that.
It was an advantage. Or something.
Yeah, it was an advantage play, but I'm saying like save, right? It kind of was an idol in a way. It was the first successful one on the season, but if he goes to the end with Ferris will have a way to turn that into like, oh, it's actually kind of me, right? And he'll kind of take some of the credit for that. He was already trying. So, yeah.
And good for Ferris, because I think he deserves a lot of the credit for that. I thought he made brilliant moves in that whole thing. Yeah. So they have to share in it. Kirby gets some credit for that as well, reassuring, because all Ree had to do was write somebody else's name down, and she was really scared about it. So she wanted to make sure it wasn't going to be her. So that was a smart move by Kirby. I want you mentioned something, and before we wrap up today, I wanted to just get your take. We are coming into the last few weeks of the season for Australia, and we have this merged tribe. We're down in numbers. If you were going to the end, is there a GOAT? Is there someone this season that you would bring with you? Because I'm really not seeing that person unless you bring maybe Caroline, and I really
That's what
don't
I was
want to see
thinking.
that.
I was thinking, I mean, Alex too. I mean,
but Alex is just like,
he's a beast now. Like, he beasted at the challenge. Yeah, I'm really liking Alex too. And how I do really, really like Alex now. Like, he just has this positivity. He's been on the bottom from like day one, and he's always positive. And they kind of bully him a little bit too. Like, they kind of make these comments and stuff like, oh, Alex, and he's on the outs, and we're just kind of, but he's just been so positive and everything. And he's really, I think, finding his stride now in his strategy and his place. And I think that though he could be positioned as like a GOAT, because he has been on the out. He has flipped back and forth a couple of different times. I think Carolyn's not in a good place. I think Kitty kind of lost a lot of respect from people.
Yep. Agreed.
She's still seen as a big threat. But yeah, there's not a ton.
Mark's been hugely disappointing.
Mark has been hugely disappointing. He's kind of been the Charlie Brown of the season a little bit, of like, every time he sets something up, the ball gets pulled out from under him. He actually has done a good job of like reconciling relationships that have fallen apart. And so
that's his job. Yeah,
that's his job, right? So you have seen that diplomat side, but he's just never. I don't think he's been on the right side of the vote. Like,
yeah.
Well, very.
I think if Mark wants to win, I think at this point, if Mark wants to win, and I still think he can, if Mark wants to win, he is going to have to either pick Kirby or Ferris and get them to vote, because we're coming up to the time where we'll turn on each other, right? We need the numbers. We need to get rid of a few, maybe one or two more people from the Titans, originally OG Titans, to bring us. So maybe that'll be Carolyn and Kitty or whatever. And then it's that push, right, to get to the final two, whatever it is. And I think that if Mark can play his game right, he can work to eliminate I think that resume builder will be, can I get Kirby out? Can I get Ferris out? Yep. And if he can get the other people like Raymond, and maybe, I don't know, one other player to come together with him to now have the majority, as soon as he can get to that 4 majority, then he'll be able to take out somebody like Ferris or Kirby. If he can do those things, that'll push him right back up, I think, because he can use I brought these people together. I brought those people together. I wasn't in front of people saying all these things. I put myself behind the scenes and took the target off my back, let you guys carry those targets, but I still manipulated things in the background. I think he has a good case to go and maybe possibly win, but he will be required he's going to have to take Kirby and Ferris out. If either of them get to the end, I see one of them winning.
Yeah, but I mean, he's going to have to get opt in from either Ferris or Kirby, and so they could kind of take credit for Mark's move there, because you have what we have left is we have Alex, Ferris, Kirby, Raymond, Rebels, OG Rebels. Okay, then you have Caroline, Kitty, and Mark, OG Titans. So it's really 3 versus 5. Now Alex has gone over to the OG Rebels, so it's kind of a 4-4 situation right now, where Alex and Caroline and Kitty and Mark are kind of up against Ferris and Kirby and Raymond and So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I have a feeling like they'll probably want to vote off one more Titan and then wrap those in to vote off the Ferris or vote off the Kirby. So yeah. I think they'll try to vote off either Caroline or Mark next, like the very next episode. And then Kitty has already expressed interest of working with Kirby.
Yeah.
And that was a good GOAT for her to take to the end. If she took Kirby, or if Kirby took Kitty, she would win. Right. And if she took she would probably win too.
Yes.
Because even though she's a challenge beast, what's her play? I mean, she's a really nice person, but she's not the mastermind. And when she has tried to make her own decisions, they've kind of fallen flat, and she's kind of gone back to Kirby. So that's kind of how I see it going. If Ferris can rally Alex, I don't think Ferris and Alex have a good relationship.
It's back and forth. They make these comments to each other. Alex's comment to him at that tribal about his ass being jealous of the shit that's coming out of his mouth. You know what I mean? Like, it was funny.
Right. But that was pretty mean.
I thought it was funny. I mean, I think they both kind of laughed about it. Like, I don't know. I think there's a little rivalry. We'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Maybe that's a little bit more, appropriate. You know, Ferris did make an alliance with Caroline. Maybe it's an Australian thing. Yeah. Ferris did make an alliance with Caroline, and he said, "Hey, I want to take you and Kitty to the end. If he can do that, he'll win." So I'd be interested to see that too.
I love Brandon. Love Alex, but it took him 15 episodes to vote out a player not named Kelly. So that was pretty funny. Yeah. And he finally got rid of the Kelly idol that he had to, like, everything about it. Alex I like him. I think he's really endeared himself to people. He's funny. He can laugh at himself. He has been a little wishy-washy. He just hasn't found the right people for him, but that's okay. Maybe he'll do that in the end. Maybe they'll bring him to the end. I don't see him winning, but I'd love to see him go even farther in this game. I think it would be fun to watch. Well, we're wrapping up. We've got 2 more weeks of Australian Survivor. There'll be a crazy bunch of things going on as we bring it to a close. I'm super excited about it. I'm really looking forward to. Who do you want to win right now, Alex? If you had to pick one today, who are you hoping takes home all the bacon?
I like Raymond. I mean, he's a very kind of likable person. I think, like I said, he's had the biggest win. If Ferris won, I think it'd be well deserved. I do not want Kirby to win. Please, no Kirby win. But I think she's in probably the best position to win, honestly.
Yeah, I'm going with Kirby. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of Ferris. I just, I mean, I really respect his game, and I think if he was in the finale, like if he wasn't up against Kirby, he'd have my vote. But I'm definitely feeling Kirby. I think she's been strong, consistent, and smart from day one. I think she's proved herself over and over and over again, seeing the full picture, having situation awareness, being really flexible, and, can move to whatever's happening. I think Ferris is doing a pretty good job of that as well, but I think he's pissing people off in his wake, and I don't think that'll help him in jury votes. So we shall see.
Kirby's done such a good job of turning it on really hot, really controlling things, and then going way back and like almost disappearing. She's just really knows when to turn it on, turn it off. So,
100%. And we've got Survivor episode 3 next week, season 46. I think it'll be interesting. And I'm looking at a tribe spot soon. So,
did we pick winners? I mean, we did it before, but I don't know if we've done it. So, have you picked a winner on Survivor America 46?
Oh, have I picked a winner? I haven't. I think we were like in Charlie, and I liked Liz when I first met her, but I don't anymore because of her, like, I don't need the money thing. I thought that was just a huge faux pas. Don't do that. So right now, I'm really rooting for Tiffany. I think my gears have shifted, and I really like Tiffany. I think she's really strong. I think she's got a great head on her shoulders, and she's smart, and she's thinking well. There's so much to this. I think it's a great cast. I wasn't sure about him in the beginning, but after last night's episode, I think it's a really strong cast. I'm always a Tevin fan. I always will be. He can narrate anything for me. He could do my voicemail. He could do like here's how you can go to sleep at night. I'm going to make you feel so great. When you wake up, you're going to tackle the day kind of guy. I adore him. So
yeah.
What about you?
I think I would pick Tevin to win. I think I think everyone loves him. I don't think he comes off as much of a threat either. But I mean, I think Q though, if you're looking, I mean, Q's also in a very kind of strong position. And like I said, people maybe underestimate him. He does kind of seem a little harsh, a little bit more on the villain side, but I would pick Tevin. We'll see.
For sure. Well, we'll see you guys here next week. We're super excited, and hopefully we'll have everybody back in the studio. We'll wait and see. But until then, have some fun. Enjoy Survivor. Leave us comment. Oh, Brandon's piping in. I'm Team Hunter and Team Moriah. Can't pick between those two right now. Those are good ones.
Hunter was another surprising one. He, one of the bigger guys out there, and people are really liking him. So he's kind of I thought he was going to be, on the outs, but he's really done a good job. So.
All right.
Good picks,
we'll
Brandon.
See you guys next week. Thanks, Brandon. Take care. Money prayers to you.